We are recording.
Start.
Hello.
Hey, Kitteh, how's it going?
Good. Hi, Dorkus. How you doing?
I'm good. I am so excited for this chapter. We get some villains.
We get some villains more than we expected. Well, yeah, actually, we did not call this at all. Well, yeah, we kind of did. Okay, we kind of did. What am I talking about?
I have no idea.
You'll figure it out. You'll know what I'm talking about.
All right. There is... Okay, so we find out what's in the room.
Mm-hmm.
It's not confirmed, but I think we called it as far as Therakamalomancers.
Yes. Yeah, what did we call them?
I believe you called them Therakamalomancers.
No, it was something that was better. Come on, please tell me it was better. It was better than that. Come on. No, it was Ferromancers. That's what I think it was. Which is better. Either way.
Either way, we get Elend. Oh, what I want out of Elend in future chapters. We are so close. So right before we started recording, Kitteh and I had a brief interaction where I basically said, after recording this, we've only got 2 more recording sessions to finish the book because we'll be doing a blind read of the epilogue.
Mm-hmm.
I have no clue how they're going to wrap this up.
Yeah. I don't have any clue.
I was under the impression that Brandon Sanderson has said something to the effect of he likes to wrap up each book in a sort of self-contained way. And I've been under the impression that that they are more or less going to be successful. I have no clue how that's going to happen in such a short period of time.
Yeah. Yeah. It seems hopeless at the end of this. Well, there is a bit of hope, but yeah, the circumstances make me go, oh, is this really the loss? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Damn
it. We get a big revelation regarding allomancy.
Yes, we do. I enjoyed that. That was I think that was my favorite part of this. Because it was just so beautiful.
Probably mine too. Now, given what we learn about the 11th metal in this chapter, in the last epigraph from the previous chapter, the Lord Ruler writes something to the effect of, I have seen what will happen if I choose poorly, or if I make the wrong choice, or whatever. Do you think this is either gold or 11th metal related, that line from last chapter?
I don't think so, because he doesn't mention allomancy in the whole logbook. Remember that's what they were looking out for. So he doesn't mention allomancy at all. So it's unlikely he was using it. That's
cool.
But it would be cool if he had some sort of. And remember, hey, sorry, just realizing that
ayahuasca journey. What?
What's that?
Ayahuasca? Oh,
yeah.
I think it's a drug of some kind where you go out into the desert and see things and trip for. Anyway, just a joke. Continue.
No, you know what? I'll bring up what I was going to bring up later. So that's fine.
Okay. One of our earlier theories was something to the effect of, what if the Lord Ruler is actually Rashek? Like, what if Rashek takes control at the event and he becomes the Lord Ruler? Now, I would imagine, now that we know more or less what the Lord Ruler looks like, it would have been commented on that he looks like a Terraceman.
Like he's really tall or something. Yeah.
Yeah, if he were Rashek. And therefore, because we don't get that, I'm inclined to think it is not.
But I will point out something else that makes me go, later on. with regards to that. Okay.
Okay. And then I have like 2 bits of notes as well, which I think I front-loaded way too much last chapter. So I'll save these for when they are pertinent to this chapter. Do you have anything more to say before we get into it?
Let's get into it.
Excellent.
Hello and welcome to the No One Asked You podcast. For this particular series, I am joined by my wonderful co-host, ThatDarnKitteh. Kitty and I are both going into the story completely new with almost no knowledge of the story or world.
Each segment, we intend to cover what happens in each new chapter and discuss our experience along the way. This is Mistborn Abridged, a blind read-through, and today we will be covering Chapter 36.
Chapter 36!
Woo!
Ooh.
I have decided that I am thankful for Rashek's hatred. It does me well to remember that there are those who abhor me. My place is not to seek popularity or love. My place is to ensure mankind's survival.
Okay, I just circled Rashek's name. That's all I did.
Why did you circle Rashek's name, Kitteh?
You will figure it out. Well, it has to do with one of the later things. So I'll let you know about that circling.
Gotcha. I got dig your heels in vibes from this. It's like, yes, I know you hate me. That just means I'm right. Or that makes me even more right.
Yeah, it makes me more right. Exactly. Or it's like, fine, your criticism has been taken into consideration and discarded. That's it. Like, and also just in a comparison to Kelsia's main purpose was, it was to seek popularity, and it was to ensure the Scar's survival. And not survival, the Scar's liberation.
Freedom.
Yeah.
Liberation.
So it's popularity and love so that the Scar may live.
Indeed.
Anything else that you picked up here?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
Vin walked quietly toward Kredik Shaw. The sky behind her burned, the mists reflecting and diffusing the light of 1,000 torches. It was like a radiant dome over the city. The light was yellow, the color Kelsier had always said the sun should be. I loved that.
Yeah, I loved that too. Yeah.
There was such poetry in that and such rightness to it, I think.
Yeah.
4 nervous guards waited at the same palace doorway that she and Kelsier had attacked before. They watched her approach. Vin stepped slowly, softly on the mist-wetted stones, her mist cloak rustling solemnly. One of the guards lowered a spear at her, and Vin stopped right in front of him.
I know you. You endured the mills, the mines, and the forges. You knew that someday they would kill you and leave your families to starve. So you went to the Lord Ruler, guilty but determined, and joined his guards.
The 4 men glanced at each other, confused.
The light behind me comes from a massive Scar rebellion. The entire city is rising up against the Lord Ruler. I don't blame you men for your choices, but a time of change is coming. Those rebels could use your training and your knowledge. Go to them. They gather in the Square of the Survivor.
The Square of the Survivor? Awesome name.
Yeah, and Vin has embraced creating this religion suddenly. Like, she's like, okay, fine, I'm helping you name stuff now.
Exactly. This whole conversation is totally acolyte.
She's embraced it completely. She's like,
exactly.
Okay, fine. I'm about my business, and I will spread the word on my way.
Yes. The Square of the Survivor?
The place where the survivor of Hatsin was killed earlier today.
The 4 men exchanged looks, uncertain. Vin rioted their emotions with a light touch. Okay. Now, up until this point, I had a very different expectation or supposition for how Vin was going to approach this. Given the revelation that she had in a previous chapter that the Inquisitors can sense allomancy whenever it was used, I was expecting some good old-fashioned no magic roguing around Kredik Shaw. I was looking forward to how she was going to get to that room, without using any allomancy. And I won't say I was a little disappointed, but I was surprised. What do you think?
I didn't have the no magic thing in mind. I don't know. I think it was just that I just expected stealth, which obviously then I suppose I just didn't go far enough with that and go, okay, well that literally means no magic because you have to be undetectable completely. So I just didn't go the next step. I was just like, I'm expecting stealth, not walking up to, like, literally she walks up to Credit Shaw as well. I thought it would be like ninja styles, like running through and whatever. But she's just walking very calmly and like determinedly. Like, you have such, actually, I was taken in by her confidence. I was really like, let's go. And actually, I regret that.
Vin rioted their emotions with a light touch.
You don't have to live with the guilt anymore.
Finally, one of the men reached up and ripped the symbol off his uniform, then strode determinedly into the night. The other three traded glances, then followed, leaving Vin with an open entrance to the palace.
So how did you like that? Was it too easy? What did you feel at this moment?
I was still in the surprise of, oh, she used allomancy, so now they know that she's here of it that we had just discussed. I'm fine with them leaving. I think it's powerful. It goes with the acolytiness of Vin's personality in this chapter. Yeah. Decent enough start for what it is.
Yeah, and she's a good enough emotional elementer to bring that about. And also, it's such a huge thing that there is any sort of uprising, that it would have that kind of impact. It's not just like, oh, there's a couple torches over there. It's like, no, that light over there, that's people. So that is unheard of. That's complete. And this is now after all that's happened. So it makes sense that they could be moved this quickly. They were in the best position to be moved.
Yes. Vin walked down the corridor, eventually passing the same guard chamber as before. She strode inside, stepping past a group of chatting guards without hurting any of them, and entered the hallway beyond. Behind her, the guards shook off their surprise and called out in alarm. There was something a little bit comedic about that, just like she walks in so confidently that the guards have to do a bit of a double take.
I was also wondering if she rioted confusion or something. She did confusion as she walked past as well. So.
They burst into the corridor, but Vin jumped and pushed against the lantern bracket, hurling herself down the hallway. The men's voices grew distant. Even running, they wouldn't be able to keep up with her. She reached the end of the corridor, then let herself drop lightly to the ground, enveloping cloak falling around her body. She continued her resolute, unhurried pace. There was no reason to run. They'd be waiting for her anyway.
So there you have her motive of why she's approaching this the way she is.
Yes.
What did that, like, was that okay, I understand that that's what you want?
It helped. It helped mitigate the surprise. I was still curious. It's not very assassiny, and her goal here isn't really to assassinate anyone, just a learning mission, which almost undercuts the last chapter's cool lines, but it's fine.
Yeah, it's fine. I guess an assassin can also spy, and she does.
Rule of cool.
Yeah, exactly. It's cool.
She passed through the archway, stepping into the dome-roofed central chamber. The floor and ebony marble, silver murals lined the walls, braziers burned in the corners, and 2 Inquisitors stood blocking her path. Vin strode quietly through the room, approaching the building within a building that was her goal. We search for you all this time, and you come to us a second time. Vin stopped, standing about 20 feet in front of the pair. They loomed, each of them nearly 2 feet taller than she, smiling and confident. What'd you think?
This made me go, oh yeah, I did not say in the previous chapter, well, in the death chapter as well, that The Inquisitor smiles too. The Inquisitors smile as well. Those we had Calcia, the smiling scar, and we have these Inquisitors that smile for a completely different reason. We had the guy that's smiling in defiance, because the Lord Ruler has, supposedly claimed happiness for himself, and so there's the defiance. But their smiles, that makes their smiles all the more sinister to me. Because just like, don't you take smiles? You don't deserve smiles, you little, well, they're not little, but that's that contrast.
But it's so good to be evil. It feels so good.
Yeah, they clearly love it. Yeah. Oh, I hate them. Thanks. Thanks, I hate them.
Vin burned Atium, then whipped her hands from beneath her cloak, tossing a double handful of arrowheads into the air. She flared steel, pushing powerfully against the rings of metal wrapped loosely around the arrowhead's broken hafts. The missile shot forward, ripping across the room. The lead Inquisitor chuckled, raising a hand and pushing disdainfully against the missiles. His push ripped the unattached rings free from the hafts, shooting the bits of metal backward. The arrowheads themselves, however, continued forward, no longer pushed from behind, but still carried by a deadly momentum. I thought that was fantastic.
That was very cool. That was very cool because we had that lovely setup of like, what is she doing in the previous chapter, and then you just like, okay, so she's got this plan. This is how she's gonna go, and I love how the Inquisitors have no clue what's going on, and it just works so perfectly. Yeah, I had to pause to appreciate it. Yeah,
she may not be trying to unalive them this chapter, but she handles them so well that I almost wonder if it diminishes the Inquisitors' power. Like, they were set up to be these really fearsome things, and we do know that Vin is uncharacteristically strong, an outlier in terms of strength, but between that and between Kelsier being able to behead one, and well, I guess Ska Mistborn are a near impossibility, so all the same, they are still incredibly fearsome. But I don't know. I'm less impressed with the Inquisitors the more interactions I have with them.
Yeah, they are, but I guess that's what happens when you it's in the same as when you encounter a new boss in the game. Like when you you find a weakness, and then you continue, and they become less of a problem for you. But I think it's balanced by actually what happens afterwards. That they don't come out of this. I mean, they don't come out of this as badly as we thought.
Yeah.
So that is balanced. It's just that it takes a while. But I agree with you. It does. It's like, whoa, we just had to have a lot of, like, the fight was grueling with Kelsier, but this is also Vin just being smart and taking them by surprise. So this can only really work once or twice.
Yeah.
The rest, they're going to figure it out. They're going to be able to counteract. So the fact is, she's just using this first chance, this first confusion attack, and before.
This is fair.
Yeah. So she's just using her smarts. She saw how Kelsier, she was you can see how she's inspired by Kelsier's use as well. She saw that, the best way to attack this thing is to make it confused, because it's just so powerful.
Right. That makes sense. The Inquisitor opened his mouth in surprise as 24 arrowheads struck him. Several punched completely through his flesh, continuing on to snap against the stone wall behind him. Several others struck his companion in one leg. The lead Inquisitor jerked, spasming as he collapsed. Now, I thought that meant she had successfully killed him. And I think that is what led me, my assumption, which ends up being incorrect, is what led me to have the feelings that I just mentioned about being less than impressed.
Yeah.
But as everything you said still applies, and as we do learn shortly, this does not in fact kill him. So there you go.
But do you think, because I mean, he spasms and collapses, so it does something. It kind of like disables them for a second or something. Like the fact that you have to kind of nail them to something. You have to, that kind of thing seems like that's the rule, to immobilize them for a second, and that's all you kind of need, is you have to get through their head and pin them to something, basically, even if you just use their spikes to do it. And that didn't kill the Inquisitor before it, but it also did just kind of stop him. So they made mention of this head being pinned. They really did. They are.
Right.
Brandon. He made mention of the head being pinned in the previous chapter and this one. Well, the previous chapter, the death chapter, and this one. So it could mean, and I hope it does, that that's what you got to do to just get your moment, and then the next step would be to behead him. But
right,
yeah, she doesn't have time for that, which is unfortunate, because having a whole Inquisitor not to deal with would have been much better going forward.
But the other growled, staying on his feet, but wobbling a bit on the weakened leg, then dashed forward, flaring her pewter. The remaining Inquisitor moved to block her, but she reached inside her cloak and threw out a large handful of pewter dust. The Inquisitor stopped, confused. To his eyes, he would see nothing but a mess of blue lines, each one leading to a speck of metal. With so many sources of metal concentrated in one place, the lines would be virtually blinding. Another excellent use of the magic.
Yeah, loved it. That's what I was like, yes, go Vin, go for that. She learned from Kelsey. This is where she was inspired by Kelsey. She's like, okay, cool. Blind them, confuse them, give them something to try and focus on.
Absolutely. Very, very cool.
Mm-hmm.
With so many sources of metal concentrated in one place, the lines would be virtually blinding. The Inquisitor spun, angry as Vin dashed past him. He pushed against the dust, blowing it away, but as he did so, Vin whipped out a glass dagger and flipped it toward him. In the confusing mess of blue lines and atium shadows, he missed noticing the dagger, and it took him square in the thigh. He fell, cursing in a crackly voice.
Good thing that worked,
Vin thought, leaping over the groaning body of the first Inquisitor.
Wasn't sure about those eyes of theirs.
She threw her weight against the door, flaring pewter and tossing up another handful of dust to keep the remaining Inquisitor from targeting any metals on her body. She didn't turn back to fight the two further, not with the trouble one of the creatures had given Kelsier. Her goal this infiltration wasn't to kill, but to gather information, then run.
Yeah, there we go.
Yep. Vin burst into the building within a building, nearly tripping on a rug made from some exotic fur. She frowned, scanning the chamber urgently, searching for whatever the Lord Ruler hid inside it.
It has to be here. The clue to the defeating him.
Okay, Spook.
It has to be here. The clue to defeating him. The way to win this battle.
She was counting on the Inquisitors being distracted by their wounds long enough for her to search out the Lord Ruler's secret and escape. The room had only one exit, the entrance she'd come through, and a hearth burned in the center of the chamber. The walls were decorated with odd trappings. Furs hung from most places, the pelts dyed in strange patterns. There were a few old paintings, their colors faded, their canvases yellowed. And my stream of consciousness when I read that sentence was, ooh, 1,000-year-old paintings.
Yes, that's also what I was thinking. Because like how long does the canvas have to be there for it to start yellowing?
Yep.
Yeah, very long.
And at this point, I think it's fair to gather that this is some sort of place of, let's say, spiritual reprieve for the guy. It's, I think, it is made to remind him of the old days, yeah?
Yeah, definitely.
Vin searched quickly, urgently, looking for anything that could prove to be a weapon against the Lord Ruler. Unfortunately, she saw nothing useful. The room felt foreign, but unremarkable. In fact, it had a comfortable hominess, like a study or den. It was packed full of strange objects and decorations, such as the horns of some foreign beast and a strange pair of shoes with very wide, flat bottoms. It was the room of a pack rat, a place to keep memories of the past. So what'd you think of that?
Exactly. And those shoes, maybe are snowshoes, or I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
Or something, I don't know. Weird clogs, maybe? I don't know. Like snowshoes would be much bigger, yeah.
Perhaps this is what his tent looked like on his way to the deepness.
Yeah, like obviously without the canvases and stuff. But, like this is what his cabin in the woods would be. Like, this is his cabin in the woods. That's what he's got here. His man cave, cabin in the woods.
Just needs a Nintendo 64 and an old TV.
All good.
She jumped as something moved near the center of the room. A pivoting chair stood by the hearth, and it spun slowly, revealing the wizened old man who sat in it. Bald, with liver-spotted skin, he appeared to be in his 70s. He wore rich, dark clothing, and he frowned angrily at Vin. Okay.
Yeah.
So, I didn't necessarily think that this was the Lord Ruler when I first read that passage.
Okay, I did.
You did?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know why it was so easy for me to do that. Because there is very clearly no soothing going on from the Lord Ruler.
I mean, outside of the normal Credit shotness of it?
She didn't say anything about it. Like, if she was in the same room as that presence, okay, that depressing feeling, especially maybe it is also because she's probably burning whatever it is I think it's bronze, whatever. No, it's not bronze. The smoking. She's smoking herself.
The copper cloud.
The copper cloud. There you go. Maybe that would dampen it, but she can feel through that in any case. And if she was right up next to him, in front of him, she would definitely feel it. And there is distinctly, for me, it's missing. She didn't go, oh, yeah, I feel, like, she didn't suddenly realize that there was this depressive thing. She had just been he didn't make mention of that she suddenly became aware of depression and things like that. So
gotcha.
The way that when he's in this state, that something's different. That's my takeaway.
Gotcha. So when I first heard that there was a wizened old man, because of course we know the Lord Ruler to be a young man, I had imagined that this could be a prisoner, perhaps an immortal prisoner that the Lord Ruler has to converse with in some way. I wondered if it was Rashek. I wondered if this was gold related. My mind ran through a lot of things, but interestingly, it wasn't it was the Lord. Yeah.
Was it the lack of depression that made you think that made you not consider it?
That didn't enter into my mind. Actually, I just kind of assumed it was there, just by dint of being Kredek Shaw. So no, it didn't. But of course, so secret revealed, it's the Lord Ruler, which at no point does anyone in this chapter comment on whether or not it's feruchemy, but I feel like this is more or less affirming that he can do feruchemy, yeah?
Yeah, exactly, which is why I circled Rashek. Because I was like, wait, because remember, my whole thing was like, somehow they blended in the, in the fight against, there was interference and whatever, they kind of became the same entity somehow.
The deepness is just FEV, and the Lord Ruler is the master.
That's reference. Yeah. I just knew it was a reference. There you go. Yeah, that's basically what I thought. Okay, that they somehow became the same entity, and I did carry that forward. I'll speak about it a little bit later.
Okay.
But yeah, I did think of, but she would have commented on his appearance looking like a Terrisman, unless Terrismen have changed very much so, which doesn't sound like they did because they still have piercings and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
So yeah, she didn't notice that, but I did think, okay, definitely he has to have that kind of, he has to be practicing feruchemy. But that's what made me even stick to the whole thing of when he's in this sort of state of the old man, there's something different about him, there's something weaker. He has to do this every 3 days. Yeah.
And this is more or less what's probably keeping him as a young man. He has to spend time as an old to be a young.
Yes. A young, yes.
Continue, please.
That's it. I failed. There's nothing here. Time to get out.
Just as she was spinning to dash away, rough hands grabbed her from behind. She cursed, struggling as she glanced down at the Inquisitor's bloody leg. Even with pewter, he shouldn't have been able to walk on it. She tried to twist away, but the Inquisitor had her in a powerful grasp. "What is this?" the old man demanded, standing. "I'm sorry, Lord Ruler," the Inquisitor said deferentially.
Lord Ruler? But I saw him. He was a young man.
"Kill her," the old man said, waving his hand. "My lord, this child is of special interest. Might I keep her for a time?" "What special interest?" the Lord Ruler said, sighing as he sat again. "We wish to petition you, Lord Ruler, regarding the canton of orthodoxy." "This again?" the Lord Ruler said wearily. Now, it's noteworthy. Virtually all of the lines that he says this chapter involve a sigh or a weariness. And I don't think it's just the age. I think it's the age. Meaning, I don't think it's just that he's 70. I think it's that he's 1,000.
Yeah, exactly. It's just this again. Everything, when you've lived long enough, everything is this again.
Yeah. "Please, my lord," said the Inquisitor. Vin continued to struggle, flaring her pewter. The Inquisitor pinned her arms to her sides, however, and her backward kicking did little good.
He's so strong.
And then she remembered it. The 11th metal, its power sitting within her, forming an unfamiliar reserve. She looked up, glaring at the old man.
Does it better work?
She burned the 11th metal. Nothing happened. Did you have any immediate thoughts from that?
Of course. I was just going, yeah, of course nothing happened. I was happy, excited to figure out what it is. Let's go. I want to see. But also I was just like, yeah, Kelsey said it wasn't useful. But you know what? I can see that you can, this is as good a time to use it as any. Just go on. Try it. If you've decided you're just gonna run in, and she knew it was useless when she ran in there, but might as well try it. You're trapped. Let's go.
And she is stronger than Kelsier, and she knows she's stronger than Kelsier, so maybe she would have some sort of affinity for it that Kelsier didn't.
True.
Vin struggled in frustration, her heart sinking, and then she saw him, another man standing right beside the Lord Ruler. Where had he come from? She hadn't seen him enter. He had a full beard and wore a thick woolen outfit with a fur-lined cloak. It wasn't rich clothing, but it was well constructed. He stood quietly, seeming content. He smiled happily. Vin cocked her head. There was something familiar about the man. His features looked very similar to those of the man who had killed Kelsier. However, this man was older and more alive. Okay, any thoughts there?
So this is, I knew now what was going on. The kind of, I could see the similarity to gold now.
Yes,
already.
same.
That made sense. But also just another thing to note is like it's not this like shimmering different color kind of apparition or whatever. It's actually like a very real, visually, it's a real person. That's how real it is.
Yeah, and given how real the gold shadow felt to her, I wonder how realistic it'd be that you could materialize a real person in some way.
And also older and more alive. So it's like there is something lost about this young Lord Ruler. He's got this kind of distant thing going on. So this more alive. So this is another a different. This is entirely different. This person seems, and also the word content is used. So it's like you can see how it seems like this is warmer. This is a warmer person.
Yeah.
And he's smiling.
Yeah.
In a good way.
Yeah. Vin turned to the side. There was another unfamiliar man beside her, a young nobleman. He was a merchant from the looks of his suit, and quite a wealthy one at that.
What is going on?
The 11th metal burned out. Both newcomers vanished like ghosts. Very well. I agree to hear your petition. We will meet in several hours' time. Tavidian has already requested a gathering to discuss matters outside the palace. Ah, yes. It will be good for him to be there. Good indeed. Vin continued to squirm as the Inquisitor pushed her to the ground, then lifted his hand, gripping something she couldn't see. He swung and pain flashed through her head. Despite her pewter, all went black. Cut.
Okay.
Ominous.
Yeah, ominous. Also, just wondering. I'm wondering about the mechanics of this. There was another unfamiliar man beside her.
So
A
she
young
saw
noble.
two shadows.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And this is not the Lord Ruler, is it?
I thought it was two different potential Lord Rulers.
Initially,
One who was a merchant and one who was a noble person.
yeah. But what I did hold on to here was, why are you saying another unfamiliar man? Where, like, there's no, like, you've got, because I did think, okay, these are both the Lord Ruler. But now that I look at this, there is enough evidence here for it to be about the Inquisitor. And we know Inquisitors come from this. Yeah.
Yeah, that might have
So,
been a young nobleman, a merchant from the looks of his suit. Yeah, that was probably the Inquisitor.
yeah, because she would have said something. She's so perceptive. It's not that she would just go, okay, well, she had this huge perception about this content man, and then the next one is just another unfamiliar, and he looks like a merchant. She would have said it was the same man. She would have thought about it being the same man,
Yeah,
but in a different. So, because initially my
you're
initial
right.
thing was, okay, this was the Lord Ruler. The first one's the Lord Ruler. If he had just stayed in wherever what was it in where he had started, like he was a farmer or whatever, he would just stay with his father. That's basically what I saw there. And then I thought of, okay, this merchant Lord Ruler guy actually didn't take the power for himself and
Like he had
lived
never
like
been
that.
discovered.
No, the first one, yes, is he had never been discovered, which also makes me think, okay, if he had never been discovered, then the deepness, that means he lived long enough. The deepness would have actually not taken over immediately, and then that's assuming that this image is connected to the rest of the world,
Right.
like considering like maybe if he died like 2 days,
Well,
never mind.
that's a really, really interesting thought, because if the Lord Ruler had never been discovered, and that's what we were seeing, but the deepness did destroy the world, then we would see a dead alternate Lord Ruler, which would mean that the whatever it is that the real Lord Ruler did was successful. Whereas if there really is a genuine alternate version of the Lord Ruler where he's not discovered and he lives, then
He lives that long, yeah.
exactly. Interesting.
And then and then, but I mean, I did think of the second guy still being the Lord Ruler, and have him still becoming a nobleman. Well, he was a nobleman when he was taking on the deepness, but this is like after he takes on the deepness, and he still becomes immortal, but he just embraces that but is still alive looking. But now that we read through it again, the fact that it's beside her, and thinking about where Deal Inquisitors come from, definitely it's looking like she's seeing the alternative of the Inquisitor, not the Lord Ruler. It's because we had those two images, those two future things from gold, that we were primed to see these two as two of the same person. And then we could easily go, oh, well, the Inquisitors don't have it because of their magic somehow. They don't, you can't see them. But
well, why? Yeah. And why would, like, for what reason would the Inquisitors use gold or this 11th metal? And by the end of this chapter, I suspect that the Lord Ruler has, I think the shadows are more real than Calcier ever could have wanted to believe. And I think the Lord Ruler knows it, and he has deliberately suppressed the metal for that reason.
Yeah. I'm just thinking, like, if you burned it long enough, you can actually speak to these shadows or whatever, and kind of like you're consulting alternative timelines
Yeah.
to see
And
how your current choices are going.
exactly. And I mean, you combine that with Vin's knowledge from the logbook, and what I'm saying is my prediction that she will somehow redeem the Lord Ruler may not be as far off as I initially thought. And I want to have that discussion, but I want to save it for when she makes her revelation about the 11th medal a little bit later in the chapter.
Until then, let's go.
Until then, Elend found his father in the north entryway, a smaller, less daunting entrance to Keep Venture, though only when compared with the majestic Grand Hall. "What's going on?" Elend demanded, pulling on his suit coat, his hair disheveled from sleep. Lord Venture stood with his guard captains and canal masters. Soldiers and servants scattered through the white and brown hallway, rushing about with an air of apprehensive fright. Lord Venture ignored Elend's question, calling for a messenger to ride for the East River docks. "Father, what's happening?" "Ska rebellion." "What?" Elend thought as Lord Venture waved for another group of soldiers to approach. Impossible. A Ska rebellion in Luthadel. It was unthinkable. They didn't have the disposition to try such a bold move. They were just... Valette is Ska, he thought. You have to stop thinking like other noblemen, Elend. You have to open your eyes. Good. Smart, Elend.
There you go, Elend.
I really like what Elend does this chapter, but we'll talk about it later.
Mm-hmm.
The garrison was gone, off to slaughter a different group of rebels. The Ska had been forced to watch those gruesome executions weeks ago, not to mention the slaughter that had come this day. They had been stressed to the point of breaking. Tamadre predicted this. So did half a dozen other political theorists. They said that the final empire couldn't last forever. God at its head or not, the people would someday rise up. It's finally happening. I'm living through it. And I'm on the wrong side. That was a great line.
That was a great line, yeah. It's like, yep, look at you.
Yes. Elend at his best right there.
Yeah.
Because now he's like, he has stepped out of political theory and he has acknowledged that there are sides to this conflict, and he has, in that thought, picked his side.
Yes, in that thought, he has picked his side. He says, I'm on the wrong side. So he sees which side he is on, but he's made a decision about his side.
Yep. Why the canal masters? We're leaving the city. Abandon the keep? Where's the honor in that? Lord Venture snorted. This isn't about bravery, boy. It's about survival. No Ska attacking the main gates, slaughtering the remnants of the garrison. I have no intention of waiting until they come for noble heads. But we were leaving anyway. Something happened at the pits a few days ago. The Lord Ruler isn't going to be pleased when he discovers it. He stepped back, waving over his lead narrowboat captain. Ska rebellion, Elend thought, still a little numb. What was it that Tamadre warned in his writings? That when a real rebellion finally came, the Ska would slaughter wantonly. That every nobleman's life would be forfeit. He predicted that the rebellion would die out quickly, but that it would leave piles of corpses in its wake. Thousands of deaths. Tens of thousands. Well, boy, go and organize your things. I'm not going, Elend surprised himself by saying.
I like that because it's like he didn't look. You picked up that moment when he had chosen a side. This is him stating the new side, but he didn't know he had done it until he actually said it. I like that. I liked it so much.
Yes, and this is a decision that he is making. He has decided in the affirmative and taken action to help in that one line.
Yeah. Exactly, and he's surprised. He is surprised, like, oh, I'm doing it. I'm doing it. Look at me. Yeah.
Oh, you're going, Lord Venture said, eyeing Elend with one of his glares. Elend looked into those eyes that were angry, not because his father cared for Elend's safety, but because Elend dared defy him. And strangely, Elend didn't feel the least bit cowed. Someone has to stop this. The rebellion could do some good, but only if the Ska don't insist on slaughtering their allies. And that's what the nobility should be. They're allies against the Lord Ruler. He's our enemy too. That line. Because in past chapters, he's like, he's God. We can't do anything about, like, overthrow him. What are you talking? He's our enemy too.
True. So that's a tone change. That's not like, oh, can we have a voice in Parliament? He's our enemy too. We need to fight him too. So the rebellion of the Scar it's given noblemen the inspiration to rebel as well. And we need this to happen with the rest of them.
Yep.
It's cool.
Father, I'm serious. I'm going to stay. Bloody hell, boy. Must you insist on mocking me? This isn't about balls or luncheons, Father. It's about something more important. His father's frown deepened. No flippant comments. No buffoonery. Elend shook his head. Suddenly, Lord Venture smiled. There's a lot of smiling in this chapter.
Yeah. Not all of it's good at all.
No. Stay then, boy. That's a good idea. Someone should maintain our presence here while I go rally our forces. Yes, a very good idea. Elend's lips turned down slightly at how that smile reflected in his father's eyes. The atium. Father is setting me up to fall in his place. And even if the Lord Ruler doesn't kill me, Father assumes I'll die in the rebellion. Either way, he's rid of me. I'm really not particularly good at this, am I?
Right. So the slowness of his thought is what he means by he's not that good at it, because he has to think this through. That's what I thought. The fact that he has to think all of this through and slowly go, oh, this is what it means. This is what it means. That means he's not very good at the whole political thing. He doesn't instinctively pick up on his father's plan. He has to think it through, which is fine, especially when you're a beginner. You have to think through all of the steps before just it becoming an instinct. And it is because he doesn't practice. He thinks a lot. He's not a practical guy. And yeah, I'm glad he picked that up. Like, yeah, and his father is so disdainful and so it's hateful of him that he doesn't even bother trying to hide it. He just smiles and he's so, oh God, I hate him.
And this is an important realization for Elend. Elend still doesn't know that his father actively tried to have him killed.
Yeah.
But at least he has this knowledge that his father's okay with his death.
Yeah, he's willing to abandon him to this fate. I feel like there would be even more pain if I found out he actively set it up rather than just taking advantage of a wider situation. He set it up. That will be quite a revelation, but I'm not sure we'll get to it.
Lord Venture laughed to himself, turning. At least leave me some soldiers. You can have most of them. It will be hard enough to get one boat out in this mess. Good luck, boy. Say hello to the Lord Ruler in my absence. He laughed again, moving toward his stallion, which was saddled and readied outside.
Really, he just doesn't even bother. He's going to laugh. He does not care that Elend knows this, or he thinks that Elend won't know why he's laughing. Either way, it's bad.
It's also noteworthy. I have said a couple of times now, and I genuinely can't tell if Brandon Sanderson is doing this on purpose or not, but Lord Venture is the luckiest man in the Final Empire. Because, well, assuming that everything works all right in the end for them, and I think it will, Elend will be elevated, and I do look forward to the drama between Elend and Straff in the future books, if there be any. But this idea of Venture coming back like hat in hand, being like, so we're still top dogs, right? Is like the fact that he would luck into that is humorous to me.
Yeah, no, I see it.
Elend stood in the hall, and suddenly he was the focus of attention. Nervous guards and servants, realizing that they'd been abandoned, turned to Elend with desperate eyes. I'm in charge. Now what? Outside, he could see the mists flaring with the light of burning fires. Several of the guards were yelling about an approaching mob of ska. Elend walked to the open doorway, staring out into the chaos. The hall grew quiet behind him, terrified people realizing the extent of their danger. Elend stood for a long moment. Then he spun. Captain, gather your forces and the remaining servants. Don't leave anyone behind, then march to keep Lakal. Keep Lakal, my lord? It's more defensible. Plus, both of us have too few soldiers. Separated, we'll be destroyed. Together, we might be able to stand. We'll offer our men to the Lakals in exchange for protecting our people. But, my lord, the Lakals are your enemies. Yes, but someone needs to make the first overture. Now get moving. Loved it?
Mm-hmm.
He's not too proud to make the first overture, and we know that he has a friend at the Lakals.
Yeah, this is what he was trying to do. Well, not trying to do. This is what he was thinking about before anyway. Having that the houses shouldn't be against each other. They should be solidifying together. That's what he did have in mind. And now that's his first go-to, now that he is in charge.
Yes. The man saluted, then rushed into motion. Oh, and Captain! The soldier looked back at him. Pick out 5 of your best soldiers to be my honor guard. I'll be leaving you in charge. Those 5 and I have another mission. My lord? What mission? Elend turned back toward the mists. We're going to go turn ourselves in.
Right. So this is where I need to say, I'm wondering if we lose Elend.
Okay, so I really, really hoped that Elend would go to Clubs' shop, and I was really hoping for an Elend Dachshund scene, and then I thought, well, actually, it would probably be Sazed. There'll probably be an Elend Sazed scene. But oh gosh, would they lose Elend? That would be devastating for Vin.
She's just lost Calcia and gotten this new purpose, and then he's gone. Because I'm thinking, because he wants to go and turn himself into obviously the Scar, and if he doesn't go through Vin's crew, then like if he just goes to the angry mob and it's just like, I am here with my honor guard, like that's not gonna it's not gonna help.
Then again, if Ham, Breeze, Clubs, and who am I forgetting?
Ham, Breeze, and Clubs. Yeah. Spook.
Well, if Ham, Breeze, and Clubs are, in charge of their different army sections, it's not impossible to think that the Ska would be organized enough to say, hey, we're going to bring you to our leader.
Yeah.
Bring me to your leader.
Exactly.
And of course, anyone in the crew will recognize him for him, I'm sure.
Yeah, and they do know that Vin cares about him, and that Calcia said, don't kill all the noblemen, and that it could be a good strategic alliance. I'm hoping for that, but I did think, he better be going to the right people, because I don't want it to be like, he tries to, and he gets killed, and then they go and team up with the noblemen. So yeah, that's just, I guess that's me just with George R.R. Martin in my head, just like, okay, that's what's going to happen. But I look forward to being wrong, because I also want to see all those. I also want to see Elend versus his father, all of that.
Okay, but look, so many more people have died in this book than I had anticipated. Like main characters, Marsh, Kelsier, Yedden. It could happen.
Yeah.
Elend could die. No one is safe. Vin awoke to wetness. She coughed, then groaned, feeling a sharp pain in the back of her skull. She opened dizzy eyes, blinking away the water that had been thrown on her, and immediately burned pewter and tin, bringing herself completely awake. A pair of rough hands hoisted her into the air. She coughed as the Inquisitor shoved something into her mouth. Swallow, he ordered, twisting her arm. Vin cried out, trying without success to resist the pain. Eventually, she gave in and swallowed the bit of metal. Now, burn it, the Inquisitor ordered, twisting harder. Vin resisted nonetheless, sensing the unfamiliar metal reserve within her. The Inquisitor could be trying to get her to burn a useless metal, one that would make her sick, or worse, kill her.
But there are easier ways to kill a captive,
she thought in agony. Her arm hurt so much that it felt like it would twist free. Finally, Vin relented, burning the metal. Immediately, all of her other metal reserves vanished. Whoa!
Whoa! I was like, no! I felt that loss. Like, oh, no.
I was so nervous because I'm going to go to the most paranoid, worst place. I was really worried that they have taken away her allomancy altogether rather than just deplete the resources.
Oh, I didn't even go there. I was like, I didn't even go that far. Basically, what would happen in Wheel of Time is they would have stilled her. No. I didn't even go that far. No. But I did. So initially, I did say, yeah, it like instantly depletes the resources. First time I read it, I was like, okay, so it just takes them away. Then the next time, I was like, okay, it kind of numbs her to them. That's what I thought, is that it makes them inaccessible. She can't feel them. It's as if they're completely gone. But I'm considering the physicality of it. What does that metal burn the other metals? I feel like this blocks her ability, and it has a timed effect. That's what I'm hoping.
And that's what I'm hoping too. But also, what did she burn?
Yeah, I don't know. But
so there's an 11th metal. She's about to realize that there's a 12th metal. Does that make this a 13th metal?
Yeah, there's a lot of science to be done.
An anti-metal metal. Good, the Inquisitor said, dropping her to the ground. The stones were wet, pooled with a bucket full of water. The Inquisitor turned, leaving the cell and slamming its barred door. Then he disappeared through a doorway on the other side of the room. Vin crawled to her knees, massaging her arm, trying to sort out what was going on.
My metals!
She searched desperately inside, but she found nothing. She couldn't feel any metals, not even the one she had ingested moments before.
What was it?
A 12th metal? Perhaps allomancy wasn't as limited as Kelsier and the others had always assured her. Thank you! Yes!
Yeah, right?
Hello! She took a few deep breaths, climbing to her knees, calming herself. There was something pushing against her. The Lord Ruler's presence. You're right. The fact that she's feeling it now but didn't mention it before, maybe that means he wasn't doing that when he was old.
That's what my theory is.
Ooh. The Lord Ruler's presence. She could feel it, though it wasn't as powerful as it had been earlier when he had killed Kelsier.
That was another thing. Earlier, so when I read earlier, I was like, oh, okay, so she did feel it. But then she says when he had killed Kelsier. Then I'm like, oh, so that's the last time she remembers feeling it. So that's what made my theory even stronger, because I was like, ooh, you had to say when he had killed Kelsier. Okay, I see you.
Still, she didn't have copper to burn. She had no way to hide from the Lord Ruler's powerful, almost omnipotent hand. She felt depression twisting her, telling her to just lie down and to give up.
No, I have to get out. I have to stay strong.
She forced herself to stand and inspect her surroundings. Her prison was more like a cage than a cell. It had bars running along 3 of the 4 sides, and it contained no furniture, not even a sleeping mat. There were 2 other cell cages in the room, one to either side of her. She had been stripped. They had left her with only her undergarments. The move was probably to make certain that she didn't have any hidden metals. She glanced around the room. It was long and narrow and had stark stone walls. A stool sat in one corner, but the room was otherwise empty.
If I could find just a bit of metal.
She began to search. Instinctively, she tried to burn iron, expecting the blue lines to appear, but she had no iron to burn. She shook her head at the foolish move, but it was simply a sign of how much she'd come to rely on her allomancy. She felt blinded. She couldn't burn tin to listen for voices. She couldn't burn pewter to strengthen her against the pain of her hurting arm and head. She couldn't burn bronze to search for nearby allomancers. Nothing. She had nothing. And at this point, I half expected her to start licking those metal bars.
Yeah, I did think of that as an option. I was thinking about it. I'm like, but then again, how much could she get from it? But either way,
well,
if you're
that's the
that
thing.
desperate,
If
yeah.
she was getting by at the very start of this book on trace
Mhm.
amounts,
Mhm.
it could have been a callback if that is how Brandon
Mhm.
Sanderson wanted it to go. Naturally,
Yeah.
he didn't, but
Mhm.
options.
No, I was thinking about her options. Oh, you do. You think you're like when a character is in a predicament, you're like, what can she do? What can she do? And there you go. I did also think. I just had this thing of her licking paws. I'm like, yeah, like because you do. You go, well, what would I do? Okay, I would be licking the paws. Okay, that's great.
Nothing. She had nothing.
You functioned without animancy before. You can do it now.
She still searched the bare floor of her cell, hoping for the chance existence of a discarded pin or nail. Don't lick the
Don't
bars.
swallow
Don't
nails.
eat nails. Yeah. Hello. She found nothing, so she turned her attention to the bars. However, she couldn't think of a way to get off even a flake of the iron.
And you know what? Hold on. Just considering what my theory is of this thing that she's burnt that makes her unable to elements. Even if she had gotten some bit of metal, I don't think it would have worked. She wouldn't be able to sense it. That's what I'm thinking. This is like.
Forgive me, did I commit an ADHD and miss you stating a theory about what it was that she was forced to burn?
I didn't state what what she burned, but I said that I thought this thing that she's burnt is not, it's not that it takes out her ability to be an allomancer, or it
But
doesn't
that it
burn out all her
diminishes it.
yeah, but it doesn't burn the metals. It actually makes her inability makes makes her numb to it. She
Gotcha.
can't actually burn it.
Yeah. That I
So it's
remember.
and yeah, and it's a time sensitive thing. It's got
Okay.
to cool down.
Gotcha.
So much metal here, and I can't use any of it. That was annoying to me. I was just like, yeah, right, it's right here. Oh.
She sat back on the ground, huddling up against the stone wall, shivering quietly in her damp clothing. It was still dark outside. The room's window casually allowed in a few trails of mist. What had happened with the rebellion? What about her friends? She thought that the mists outside looked a bit brighter than usual. Torchlight in the night? Without tin, her senses were too weak to tell.
What was I thinking? Did I presume to succeed where Calcia had failed? He knew that the 11th metal was useless.
It had done something, true, but it certainly hadn't killed the Lord Ruler. She sat thinking, trying to figure out what had happened. There had been an odd familiarity about the thing the 11th metal had shown her, not because of the way the visions had appeared, but because of the way Vin had felt when burning the metal.
Gold. The moment when I burned the 11th metal felt like that time when Calcia had me burn gold.
Could it be that the 11th metal wasn't really 11th at all? Gold and atium had always seemed oddly paired to Vin. All of the other metals came in pairs that were similar. A base metal, then its alloy, each doing opposite things. Iron pulled, steel pushed. Zinc pulled, brass pushed. It made sense, all except for atium and gold. What if the 11th metal was really an alloy of atium or of gold?
It would mean that gold and atium aren't paired. They do two different things, similar but different. They're like
the other metals, which were grouped into larger bases of 4. There were the physical metals, iron, steel, tin, and pewter, the mental metals, bronze, copper, zinc, and brass, and there were the time-affecting metals, gold and its alloy, and atium and its alloy.
that means there's another metal, one that hasn't been discovered, probably because atium and gold are too valuable to forge into different alloys.
Okay, big revelations, yes?
Yeah, I love it. Great. I was enjoying her whole walk through the theory. Ah, the nerd of it all.
So now seems like a good time to have the conversation. And it's noteworthy that later on in the chapter, at one point, someone says to the Lord Ruler something to the effect of, you felt her use her powers in the room. So you know she's Mistborn and powerful. So, with that future knowledge in mind, the note that I wrote was, can she redeem the Lord Ruler if she uses the 11th metal to show him a version of himself where he made the right choice? But if she can do that, Why couldn't Old Lord Ruler see the two before? Old Lord Ruler sensed her mistbornness, and good allomancers can detect which metals are being used by someone. If Old Lord Ruler detected that she used the 11th metal specifically, he doesn't bring it up, but I imagine he would have if he wanted it suppressed. Okay, that was a lot there.
He would have if he wanted it suppressed. Why would he bring it up if he wanted it suppressed?
It's not so much, I think, that he would have brought it up. I think he would have wanted her killed immediately, or he would have wanted to personally interrogate her regarding it. Like, where did you get this?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that at least where did you get this would come to mind. But also they have confiscated. Oh, she didn't bring the full thing of the 11th medal.
No, just what she brought to burn.
She brought the shavings. Okay, yeah. So that also helps, because then there's no like, hey, we found this on her. What is it? Yeah. So I do agree. There could be. It's like he isn't noticing. He's not touching on the fact that there is the 11th. Well, what we're calling the 11th metal. So he might not be in the know of it.
And it's also noteworthy, if she didn't bring the bar, she can't have more of it to use, and she ran out in the room. Therefore, how is she going to be able to go get more to use on him?
I think she did put. No, she did. She drank it, but she might. I don't know if I'm remembering incorrectly. She might have put shavings in a vial or whatever. But either way, they
did do that. But yeah, they confiscated.
Yeah.
Do you think, though, that she could redeem the Lord Ruler in this way?
I wasn't thinking about her redeeming him. I was thinking about her manipulating him, finding a weakness through that, and or even killing one of those. Because when I first read it, remember, I thought of them as two different options for the same man. I thought, oh, what if you kill one of those? What happens to the person's mind? What is it? Is there some sort of link? Because they're so real. Doing something physically to them, what does that do?
Right.
That's what I was playing with in terms of theories. But the redemption thing also comes in when, like, this is who you could have been. Like, this seems like a talking to villain, not a fighting villain, because you just can't fight him.
Right. Okay. But what good was the knowledge? Her 11th metal was probably just a paired opposite of gold. The metal Kelsier had told her was the most useless of them all. Gold had shown Vin herself, or at least a different version of her that had felt real enough to touch. But it had simply been a vision of what she could have become, had the past been different. The 11th metal had done something similar. Instead of showing Vin's own past, it had shown her similar images from other people. And that told her nothing. What difference did it make what the Lord Ruler could have been? It was the current man, the tyrant that ruled the final empire that she had to defeat.
I put question marks there. That's where I was like, is it? Is it though? You don't know. And I love the like I don't know if that the is it though means like, is there some way of defeating him through defeating or doing something to his shadow man? And it is worth noting that there were two images for gold, right? These are your options. This over here, he only has one. That it seems like he only had one. So it's not.
Was there two for gold, or was there the current one and then the possible past one, and they were both them, so they both interpreted the other as the other? I know that's confusing, but
yeah, what the hell? Wait, please rephrase.
I thought that there was Vin and past Vin, and she was both of them, and she was both of them, whereas there was past Lord Ruler and there was current Lord Ruler, and they are both of them. I know it's confusing. It's Sanderson's fault, not mine.
I need to go and reread the gold chapter. I'm going to go and reread the gold chapter.
Probably a good idea, given how important we now know it to be. Although I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure I said this is important at the time. There is this wonderful D&D webcomic. It's one of my favorites, called Order of the Stick. Highly recommend it. So for folks listening, there was a doorbell ring. We had to cut in the middle, and now I've totally forgotten why I brought this up in the first place.
Okay, what we were doing beforehand is we were talking about
Gold and the 11th
gold
metal,
visions
and can the
and
Lord
talking
Ruler
to
be
them.
redeemed?
And speaking, I think we were talking about being the thing that brought it up initially was also my confusion. I think made you think of that, but both being something and not being it at the same time.
Right.
Being separate.
By the way, I had actually referenced Order of the Stick in a previous episode. The living in two villages with the dolphins that come and destroy the bridge was an Order of the Stick reference. Perhaps I should have mentioned it then, and I didn't for some reason, but that was that. Love it. Highly recommend the comic.
Jeez, yeah, sounds really cool.
It's so cool. Tangent over. Back to the chapter. A figure appeared in the doorway, an Inquisitor dressed in a black robe, the hood up. His face was shadowed, but his spike heads jutted from the front of the cowl. It is time. Another Inquisitor waited in the doorway as the first creature pulled out a set of keys and moved to open Vin's door. Vin tensed. The door clicked and she sprang to her feet, scrambling forward.
Have I always been this slow without pewter?
The Inquisitor snatched her arm as she passed, his motions unconcerned, almost casual, and she could see why. His hands moved supernaturally quickly, making her seem even more sluggish by comparison. The Inquisitor pulled her up, twisting her and easily holding her. He smiled with an evil grin, his face pocked with scars that looked like
arrowhead wounds. But healed already? How can it be?
She struggled, but her weak, pewterless body was no match for the Inquisitor's strength. The creature carried her toward the doorway, and the second Inquisitor stepped back, regarding her with spikes that peeked out from beneath its cowl. Though the Inquisitor who carried her was smiling, this second one had a flat line of a mouth. Vin spat at the second Inquisitor as she passed, her spittle smacking it right on one of its spike heads. The balls on this woman, am I right?
Right, I loved it. Go!
Her captor carried her out of the chamber and through a narrow hallway. She cried out for help, knowing that her screams, in the middle of Credit Shaw itself, would be useless. At least she succeeded in annoying the Inquisitor, for he twisted her arm. Quiet, he said as she grunted in pain. Vin fell silent, instead focusing on their location. They were probably in one of the lower sections of the palace. The hallways were too long to be in a tower or spire. The decorations were lavish, but the rooms looked unused. The carpets were pristine, the furniture unmarked by scruff or scratch. She had the feeling that the murals were rarely seen, even by those who often passed through the chambers. Eventually, the Inquisitors entered a stairwell and began to climb.
One of the spires.
With each step, Vin could feel the Lord Ruler getting closer. His mere presence dampened her emotions, stealing her willpower, making her numb to everything but lonely depression. She sagged in the Inquisitor's grip, no longer struggling. It took all of her energy to simply resist the Lord Ruler's pressure on her soul. Oof.
Jeez,
That is...
feel that.
Yeah. Well, what a wonderful, poetic sequence of words that is just absolutely horrifying. After a short time in the tunnel-like stairwell, the Inquisitors carried her out into a large circular room, and despite the power of the Lord Ruler's soothing, despite her visits to noble keeps, Vin took just a brief moment to stare at her surroundings. They were majestic, like none she'd ever seen. The room was shaped like a massive, stocky cylinder. The wall, there was only one running in a wide circle, was made entirely of glass. Lit by fires from behind, the room glowed with spectral light. The glass was colored, though it didn't depict any specific scene. Instead, it seemed crafted from a single sheet, the colors blown and melded together in long, thin rails, like
mist. Colorful streams of mist running in a circle around the entire room.
The Lord Ruler sat in an elevated throne in the center of the room. He wasn't the old Lord Ruler. This was the younger version, the handsome man who had killed Kelsier.
Some kind of imposter? No, I can feel him, just as I could feel the one before. They're the same man. Can he change how he looks then, appearing young when he wishes to put forth a pretty face?
You know about Ferukemi. Why don't you think it?
Listen, she is in a bit of a predicament, so we can forgive her for not thinking about it. But
yes,
we hope that eventually she'll get there. And also, I do wonder, okay, is this is what makes me go, oh, well, maybe my theory is wrong. She hasn't thought about, she couldn't feel about not feeling his soothing when he's older, but we can make the same argument that, hey, she didn't think of Ferukemi, so it could just be the circumstances, so she's not thinking through it all.
fair. A small group of gray-robed, eye-tattooed obligators stood conversing on the far side of the room. 7 Inquisitors stood waiting like a row of shadows with iron eyes. That made 9 of them in all, counting the 2 that had escorted Vin. Her scar-faced captor delivered her to one of the others, who held her with a similarly inescapable grip. "Let us be on with this," said the Lord Ruler. A standard obligator stepped forward, bowing. With a chill, she realized that she recognized him.
Lord Prelin Tavidian, my father.
My lord, forgive me, but I do not understand. We have already discussed this matter.
Sorry, did you expect me not to react to that reveal? God.
It felt appropriate.
Oh, that's hilarious. I love it.
Valette is the Vin that Vin could have been. That rhymed.
Yes.
Valette is Southern. She is a Southern belle, so why not her father?
Why not? Let's do it.
The Inquisitors say they have more to add, the Lord Ruler said in a tired voice. Again, note, tired voice. He's always tired. He's always weary.
Yep, this again, you know.
Tavidian eyed Vin, frowning in confusion.
He doesn't know who I am. He never knew he was a father.
My lord, look outside your window. Do we not have better things to discuss? The entire city is in rebellion. Scar torches light up the night, and they dare go out into the mists. They blaspheme in riots, attacking the keeps of the nobility. Let them, the Lord Ruler said in an uncaring voice. He seemed so worn. He sat strongly on his throne, but there was still a weariness to his posture and his voice. But my lord, the great houses are fallen! The Lord Ruler waved a dismissive hand. It is good for them to get purged every century or so. It fosters instability, keeps the aristocracy from growing too confident. Usually I let them kill each other in one of their foolish wars, but these riots will work. And if the Scar come to the palace? Then I will deal with them. You will not question this further. Yes, my lord, Tavidian said, bowing and backing away. Now, what is it you wish me to hear? The scarred Inquisitor stepped forward. Lord Ruler, we wish to petition that leadership of your ministry be taken from these men and granted to the Inquisitors instead. We have discussed this. You and your brothers are needed for more important tasks. You are too valuable to waste on simple administration. But by allowing common men to rule your ministry, you have unwittingly allowed corruption and vice to enter the very heart of your holy palace. Idle claims! You say such things often, Carr, but you never offer any proof. Carr turned slowly, his eerie smile lit by the twisting colored window light, then shivered. That smile was nearly as unsettling as the Lord Ruler's soothing. Proof? Why, tell me, Lord Prelin, do you recognize that girl? Of course not, Tavidian said with a wave of his hand. What does a Scar girl have to do with the government of the ministry? Everything. Oh, yes, everything.
Tell the Lord Ruler who your father is, child.
Vin tried to squirm, but the Lord Ruler's allomancy was so oppressive, the Inquisitor's hands so strong.
I don't know,
She managed to say through gritted teeth. The Lord Ruler perked up slightly, turning toward her, leaning forward.
You cannot lie to the Lord Ruler, child,
Carr said in a quiet, rasping voice.
He has lived for centuries and has learned to use allomancy like no mortal man. He can see things in the way your heart beats and can read your emotions in your eyes. He can sense the moment when you lie. He knows. Oh yes, he knows.
I never knew my father.
Vin said stubbornly. If the Inquisitor wanted to know something, then keeping it a secret seemed like a good idea.
I'm just a street urchin.
A Mistborn street urchin? Why, that's interesting, isn't it, Tavidian?
The Lord Prelin's frown deepened. The Lord Ruler stood, slowly, walking down the steps of his dais toward Vin. Oh, this was so scary. This was like, oh, he's interested. Oh.
No, I don't want interest. Please go away. Yeah.
Yes, my lord. You felt her allomancy earlier. You know that she is a full Mistborn, a remarkably powerful one. Yet she claims to have grown up on the street. What noble house would have abandoned such a child? Why, for her to have such strength, she must be of an extremely pure line. At least one of her parents must have been from a very pure line.
What are you implying? Tavidian demanded, paling. The Lord Ruler ignored them both. He strode through the streaming colors of the reflective floor, then stopped right in front of Vin.
So close.
His soothing was so strong that she couldn't even feel terror. All she felt was the deep, overpowering, horrible sorrow. The Lord Ruler reached out with delicate hands, taking her by the cheeks, tilting her face up to look into his eyes.
Who is your father, girl?
He said softly.
Despair
twisted within her. Grief, pain, a desire to die. The Lord Ruler held her face close to his own, looking into her eyes. In that moment, she knew the truth. She could see a piece of him. She could sense his power, his godlike power. Okay, let's take a moment there. That was a lot, but exciting.
Yeah.
She could see a piece of him.
Mhm.
Breeze had said he's a piece of God, a sliver of infinity. What do
Yep.
you make of that phrase, a piece of him?
Yeah, that is exactly what she's seeing. That's exactly what I thought of when she said I could see a piece of him. That is the piece of him that is that godlike thing, that infinite sliver. So she's perceiving that, and it's all encompassing. She's just, this feeling is overwhelming, and just keep that in mind as we go on. What she thinks next.
Okay. He wasn't worried about the Ska rebellion. Why would he have to worry? If he wished, he could slaughter every person in the city. Finn knew it to be the truth. It might take him time, but he could kill forever, tirelessly. He need fear no rebellion. He'd never needed to. Kelsier had made a terrible, terrible mistake. Okay. Is she feeling the deepness, do you think?
Yeah, she's feeling whatever made him the sliver of infinity, or the piece of God.
Do you think they are one and the same?
Yeah, probably. I don't know. They definitely related. I do feel like they're the same thing, and he absorbed it somehow.
Okay.
But the thing is, I feel like this is such powerful soothing that it's changing her entire perception. I don't want to believe what she's seeing here or what she's feeling here.
And then that line, Kelsier had made a terrible, terrible mistake. That is so anvil in your stomach.
Yeah, it scared me. That's why I felt all of it, and I was like, no, I don't want it to be true. I don't want it to be true. I don't want it to be true.
Yeah.
But this is also where I was like, oh, this is what Branderson means by they lost. So let's see.
Your father, child.
The Lord Ruler prompted his demand like a physical weight upon her soul. Vin spoke despite herself.
My brother told me that my father was that man over there, the Lord Prelin.
Tears rolled down her cheeks, though when the Lord Ruler turned from her, she couldn't quite remember why she had been crying. Whoa!
Yeah, I was like, okay, so that is how deeply his soothing goes to you. Like he just destroys your soul to the point where you're hardly conscious. And then he's focused all of it on her. And then he's like, he goes away from her, and then she's like, what? That's why I was hoping that her thing about Keltia, a big mistake, and this guy is undefeatable. I was just hoping that is just this pure hopelessness that he puts into somebody with whatever soothing thing he does. And this could be the deepness itself.
Wow. Yeah.
It's a lie, my lord. What does she know? She's just a silly child.
Tell me truthfully, Tavidian, the Lord Ruler said, walking slowly toward the obligator. Have you ever bedded a scar-woman? The obligator hesitated before answering.
I followed the law. Each time I had them slain afterward.
You lie. You're uncertain. Tavidian was visibly shaking.
I think I got them all, my lord. There was one I may have been too lax with. I didn't know she was Scar at first. The soldier I sent to kill her was too lenient, and he let her go. But I found her eventually.
Tell me, did this woman bear any children? The room fell silent.
Yes, my lord.
The Lord Ruler closed his eyes, sighing. He turned back toward his throne. Is yours. Immediately, 6 Inquisitors dashed across the room, howling in joy, pulling obsidian knives from sheaths beneath their robes. Ooh, that is feral.
Yeah, whoa. Okay, they were loving it. They were waiting for it. Jeez.
They were right there. They were rabid. Tavidian raised his arms, crying out as the Inquisitors fell on him, exulting in their brutality. Oof.
Yeah,
Also,
they're loving it way too much. Calm down. Jeez. Overkill.
Yeah. Also, okay, no confrontation between Vin and Tavidian. That's fine.
Yeah.
Blood flew as they plunged their daggers over and over again into the dying man. The other obligators backed away, looking on in horror. Carr remained behind, smiling as he watched the massacre, as did the Inquisitor who was Vin's captor. One other Inquisitor remained back as well, though Vin didn't know why. The fact that it's called out there is important, yeah?
Yeah, I was like, okay, we gotta take note of that. I don't know why either, but thank you for telling us that, and the fact that, but Vin didn't know why is, yeah. Brandon Sanderson is saying, look here, putting an arrow there.
Yep. Your point is proving, Ka, the Lord Ruler said, sitting wearily on his throne. It seems I have trusted too much in the obedience of mankind. I did not make a mistake. I have never made a mistake. However, it is time for a change. Gather the Iprelans and bring them here. Rouse them from their beds if need be. They will witness as I grant the Canton of Inquisition command and authority over the ministry. Carr's smile widened. The half-breed child will be destroyed.
Of course, my lord. Though, there are some questions I wish to ask her first. She was part of a team of Scar Mistings. If she can help us locate the others.
Very well. That is your duty, after all. Whoa. That's a chapter.
That is a chapter.
And Carr not killing her right then and there. That's the mistake. If he did that, they win and the rebellion fails, right?
Exactly. That's why I say there's hope, because there's hope yet, because we're still gonna have a living Vin. Okay, she's not dead yet. Okay. My question is, the Did the word mistake resonate with you because it came basically like a couple paragraphs before, after she had just thought Kelsier made a big mistake. Kelsier has just made a big mistake.
That.
And then he, this guy that's had been continued parallels with Kelsier the whole.
Oh my gosh. So
yeah.
That's incredible. So I knew from the fact that he was saying, I did not make a mistake, I have never made a mistake, was really important for his character and everything, but I totally did not associate it with Kelsier had made a mistake, a terrible, terrible mistake. That is such a, Kitteh, I'm so glad you do this with me.
I do wonder what that means. I'm glad that you see what it did to me, like it did the dong kind of thing. That like, okay, you see them both. So yeah.
It's like obviously we know that Kelsier did good, and we know that more essentially the Lord Ruler failed and he made a mistake and he picked the bad choice.
Yes,
or at least that's what we're supposed to believe at this point. So, wow.
Yeah, that's why those two words just really, like, the fact that he focuses on them. And I'm just like, yeah, I understand, definitely. And let's not forget that that's also what it means for his character, that he never makes mistakes, okay? Listen, he just changes course, and it sounds like he made a mistake, but whatever, who am I to say? But the fact, what I wanted to do, my cope was, the Lord Ruler can make a mistake. Vin could be making a mistake about saying Kelsier made a mistake. So I think it's my cope as well was the source of this, because I was like, no, we can defeat him.
Yes. Okay. So look, that was an exceptionally intimidating chapter, and that passage about Vin saying Kelsier had made a terrible, terrible mistake is very present in my mind. But I want to have a quick discussion about what the Lord Ruler does and does not know. I don't think the ruler knows just how big the riots are. I mean, he might, but I don't think he certainly doesn't know the religious aspect of it. Add on top of that, he does not know that the Atium was destroyed. On top of that, he doesn't know that the soothing stations are gone.
Nope, not yet.
So what this is here's, on one hand, I'm like, now hold on a second. This in theory sounds like a much graver situation than the Lord Ruler is aware of at the moment, but at the same time, if he is genuinely that powerful that he could just keep going forever, but can he? What do you think?
Yeah, can he without the Atium? Can he? He's so confident in the way things are, but there are these factors that you've just pointed out that he actually has not considered. And or listen, he could never make a mistake. So even if he doesn't know these things, his confidence is completely warranted. So I still want to try. Okay, I still want them to try. Please just keep trying. Kill him.
Oh gosh. Is there anything else to discuss?
Not that I'm aware of. It was just a very intense chapter. And hey, actually, wait, one more question.
Yeah.
Okay, so we had the okay, she's gonna go in and be stealthy and whatever, and we were kind of like, whoa, she wasn't that stealthy. Cool, we had that experience. But also, at what stage do we go, that was a dumb idea, Vin? But at the same time, I'm just like, something had to happen. She had to go. Who was she going to bring in with her? Like, yeah.
Yeah. Well said. Like, look, there was what, a 1 in 3 chance that the Lord Ruler was going to be in the room at the time. But why didn't you try to not Alamance your way in? If you were not on an assassination mission to go and take out the Inquisitors, like that could have been cool, as her stealthing that up. Yeah, Vin, what did you expect?
Yeah, like I'm happy that it happened because this is exciting, but it's like, and like, what else could she do? I understand, but what else she could have done is the stealth, okay,
And
or
like,
figured out the schedule or something.
why not wait an hour or two until Clubs's army is ready to march on Kredek Shaw, and that will surely distract at least the guards, which would give her a way in without using Allomancy.
Exactly.
But
Yeah.
no, you had to go in quicker. Poorly planned.
Yeah, but then also just thinking about it, one of the things that just if we're looking at the little details as well, one of the things she said is, it has to be here. The answer to him, his weakness has to be here in this room. And then she says, oh, it's not here. But it could be if she figures out how the 11th metal, which is not the 11th metal, can help her do something with him. Then that is the answer.
It seems to me, that there are two potential weaknesses here. One, there's the 11th metal. If she can find some way to manipulate that against him, and the second one is just getting the knowledge out that he's a feruchemist. However you go about doing that, but she doesn't seem to have realized it, and we could be wrong. This could be something else entirely, but I don't think that's the case.
Yeah. Do you think it's feralchemy or something?
Ferrocamelamancer.
Ferrocamelamancy. Ah, yes, so close to the end.
So close. If you haven't subscribed to ThatDarnKitteh, go and do so. She's got a wonderful channel where she does diagram streams and panel shows. And she has a Discord where you can go and discuss Mistborn spoilers in the Mistborn spoiler section. Just please don't tag Kitteh or I in it, if you like. No pressure.
Enjoy whatever discussions y'all are having in there. Thank you so much for listening, and subscribe to the No One Knows You podcast if you've come this far. Why not? Hello. And drop a like on the video too.
Yeah. Thanks. Have a good one. Bye.